Live again. We're doing it. Let a couple people get in here. We'll do the official thing. Vintage Justo. You get Vintage Justo today because I took my glasses off all the way upstairs before the gym, and I only have sunglasses down here. So we're going back in time. Get one share off real quick.
Oh. So much happening in sports right now. It's crazy.
Well, if you got any additional,
it is crazy.
Throw it in.
Come on, man. We know where we're starting.
We gonna cover it all.
All right, let me. Oh, I'm going to start with the funny story.
No, let's do it.
To get it out of the way. All right, we're here. I'm trying to get this one share in on Facebook so we can get maybe a couple instant views. All right, it is Wednesday, March 29th. We are almost out of March and into April. That's crazy. We're actually going to talk March Madness because we wait till the Final Four, and believe it or not, we just had the Super Bowl. It's Final Four time. We're going to talk about that. We've got some other stuff to cover. A big move in the quarterback carousel is coming, but we don't know what it's going to be. So we got to talk about that too and a lot more. The Wire Sports Podcast. Hey, it starts right now.
I'm going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way y'all roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with Iron Mike and the great Ali. I'm a run it back, believe me, baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy is so that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
That is my jam. Oh, what is going on, fellas? How we doing? Back on a Wednesday. You never know when you might find us. That's why you got to stick with h2gradio.com. You can always see what's going on. Guys, how are you?
Good, man.
Eating
ice cream.
What's up?
Eating ice cream. My wife got it for me.
Oh. See,
what kind?
Jordan, if you're watching at home.
Dairy Queen Blizzard. Peanut butter.
Oh, that sounds good. You need to make me close with this workout plan I'm on or something. Some Halo tops or something. Get some Halo tops going. All right.
That's my workout plan.
Let's see. We got a lot to cover, a lot going on, but I thought we would start things off with a little bit of fun because we got a lot of news that everyone's talking about. We're going to give our unique takes. Something I bet nobody's talking about, and I really don't want to talk about. I just found it and thought it was hilarious. Have you guys ever heard of Fight Circus? Are you familiar with Fight Circus?
No.
But you know what I'm sure you are familiar with? I'm sure you're familiar with a certain Pride champion, certain UFC champion. Some might call him the Big Dog. Some might call him the Rampage, a man by the name of Quentin Jackson. You've heard of this man?
Yeah.
And you may have heard of a guy, I don't know if he was ever a Pride champion, but he had a pretty funny fight with Mirko Krokop a long time ago in Pride. But you may know his quote from a popular Adam Sandler movie, Bob Sapp. You may have heard of Bob Sapp before. You broke my nose.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. These two gentlemen are throwing away all credibility, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. They've joined Fight Circus for their 6th promotion. They're doing a Siamese boxing match. And in the promos, these two very large men are sharing a shirt with one arm out of each sleeve. And it's my understanding that they are to box this way.
Wow. I paid money to see that.
Well, you can.
Who are they boxing?
They're boxing each other while
In the
inside
same
of
thing?
in a shirt. That's what
Yeah.
Rampage,
no.
Bob Sapp, musical chairs of death, and other oddities set for Fight Circus 6.
There's been 5 other ones.
I was looking into this for like 35 minutes because Rampage was one of my favorite fighters growing up. He was ruthless in Pride. Slowed down a little bit with UFC. Of course, had that whole conspiracy. I think we covered on the air when he got the A-Team deal and Dana White cut him from the UFC. I think that was covered on Vintage, the Beach Bash, I want to say. But now we've got these two fighters. I don't know. Bob Sapp, I don't think ever had any real accolades in the fighting world other than just being a big guy for little guys to go through. What do you make of literally this circus?
Get your money, man.
I watched the video. It's what I thought. Bob Sapp and Rampage are conjoined together fighting someone else. That's what I was getting at. It don't make no sense if they're in a sweater punching each other.
They're gonna fight somebody.
Like Bob Sapp's using his right arm and Quentin's using his left, and like they're in a sweater together fighting some other people. Because that's what I was getting at. If they're right next to each other, like you can't punch someone hard enough to do any damage like this. It just doesn't. You know, I think that'd be funnier to watch.
Yeah,
really,
for
like,
sure.
but I mean, I don't know, man. Get your money. At this point, you know, they don't have other means to do it. Rampage kind of just chills and streams, but Bob Sapp's always been like a freak attraction. He's never been a serious fight. I mean, he tried to be, but he just didn't have the cardio. He's too big of a man. Honestly, he's just way too big of a dude. So when he actually was fighting, he was never really that good. He was just like intimidating looking. When you see this man, he's terrifying. But yeah, he's not like what you would think. You know, like Alistair Overeem is like a similar build, but like that guy's just like a real fighter. And Bob Sapp's like looks like he should be like the scariest man alive, but he just could never go past like 2 minutes. It's just not like Bob Sapp. So anyway, whatever. It's kind of weird. I like you brought it up, man. I would have never heard about this if you didn't find this. So.
I'm gonna
Just
try
a side note. Just a side note. Did anybody that it's in Fuck It? It's in Fuck It Thailand.
That's
I just thought that was very ironic.
That's got to be on purpose.
Yeah, because you got to be just like, you know what, let's just do it. That's gonna be interesting. I'm still kind of hung up on there was 5 other ones of these fight circuses. What happened at those? I'm trying to go back on YouTube and find out. But
next week, let's find out. We'll research it and we'll tell people briefly the other 5.
Yeah.
Who knows? Fight Circus might become part of our rotation. You know, we leave out the NCAA, but this might be something we can get.
Right.
You can buy it for $9.99. You can buy the pay-per-view for $9.99.
You can never get a Jake Paul fight for that.
Right, that's a steal.
Oh my gosh.
Sahi, what I mean is that your take? What else do you make? I know Rampage was you were a big Rampage fan back, especially when you made the transition to UFC.
Yeah. Rampage was one of those I started watching the UFC with, Rampage was one of those guys that was like really on top when I first started watching. And it was always exciting to watch him fight because he was going to give it everything he had, But this in a t-shirt, how long is that shirt going to last? It's going to have to be a tough shirt. Is it going to have 2 collars? Like they both have a neck hole?
Yeah.
Because if it's on the same neck, like those two, they got
crazy.
They barely, you know what I'm saying? How they going to share a neck?
Don't worry, Sahi.
Yeah.
This sweater is going to be super durable and super thick because it's going to be like those little children that are in those slave encampments that had to like knit it.
Yeah.
This thing is legit. All right. Don't worry about that part.
Yeah. I wonder how long this fight is gonna last. When you say that, they're gonna be in this super durable sweater. They're gonna be sweating awfully fast.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to go for the knockout pretty early. That's what I'm gonna call. I'm calling a first round knockout. Who I don't even know who they fighting.
And you said Rampage has got his left out, right? Isn't he a righty?
Yeah.
I would
They
have put
fight
power.
like two random white guys. I'm sure there's somebody who
It's gonna
they're
die.
not like famous fighters. So
Right.
Someone's coming, is what you're saying. Someone's gonna job to him.
it's a job. Yeah, they're gonna get jobbed. They're getting jobbed out. It's two big giant black guys against two fat white guys. Come on, man. This is exactly what happened when Rampage and Chuck Liddell met in the ring, right? Oh, I love that. Oh, it's so funny.
Why you
All
gonna
my
bring
buddies in UC, they also had. Oh, I'm gonna bring it up because that white boy had a big old beer gut, and all these white people were excited, like, "Man, that's my guy." And Rick Franklin was the same. That's my guy, right? Here comes Rampage. They just sitting there doing nothing for 3 minutes. Rampage hits him once, dude. Chuck Liddell never was the same. That dude's career went like down the toilet where he belonged. That dude looked like he belonged in a bar as a bartender. Get out of here, Chuck
I
Liddell.
agree. The reason I say why you bring that up is Sahi, I don't think this video is even in the vault. I can't find the video. Many moons ago, while we were innocent high schoolers, Sahi and I made a bet on that very fight.
Yeah, I'm sure you picked Chuck
Yeah.
Liddell.
And
You were
the
repping your guy.
winner got to free punch the loser, and there was a video floating around Miamisburg of Sahi clocking me and taking
Yeah. Last time I seen it was like on MySpace or something. It was a minute ago.
Somebody called Justin Timberlake. He partially owns that. We got to find this video, man. I'm telling you.
Okay.
It was the same thing. I was telling the same thing to these boys with Rich Franklin and Anderson Silva. I'm like, y'all crazy if you think this white boy going to take Anderson Silva. And at the point, it's because he hadn't been in the UFC. He only had one fight before that. But I was like, y'all are crazy, man. White people, I'll tell you what, they rep their own kind, but like y'all don't belong fighting. You're not in combat sports. I'm sorry. That's just not your thing.
I wouldn't have ever bet against Anderson or Vanderlei Silva or
Any Silva.
yeah, or oh man, he had the werewolf fangs. Andre.
Oh, what? See, you crazy. That boy sucked. Andre
He was
Arlovski
crazy.
sucked.
He was
Yeah, he
nuts.
was crazy. That he was skilled. That's
So
mean he was
fun
any
to watch.
good. Bro, he fought Tim the Maniac Silva. Two absolutely
I hate it.
untalented white boys. See, you killing me. Like, let's move on, please.
I hate
Like, if
it.
you're gonna bring up a white boy, at least say Brock Lesnar. You know, somebody who actually had some talent. Like,
Oh,
outta here.
GSP.
GS, well, yeah, that,
I
the
give it
GOAT.
to
We've already
GSP
talked about
if
this.
I had to
We've had
pick
this
a white
argument,
boy.
but the
Yeah.
GOAT.
Trey, what do you
No.
make? I know we've chopped it up about Rampage before. I know none of us have ever given legitimate conversation to Bob Sapp before, but what do you think of this
There's no need.
circus?
I mean, honestly, my guy's just out for a check and go
Yeah.
get your money. I mean, it's
Right.
I mean, fun. I'm low key thinking about spending my $9.99 to watch it.
I'm gonna say it's
I'm
so
not even gonna
adorable.
lie.
I almost want to do it because the sun's
We should.
ridiculous.
We should
It's
do it.
just, I mean, I just want to see what it looks like. I'm curious.
Hey guys, there's a 2.5 minute trailer, and for you guys watching out there, 2.5 minute trailer. Check it out. You already get to see them in the sweater. They're talking about it. You're seeing them training. It looks so ridiculous. You're like hitting a heavy bag. It's so funny.
Whoever is
I'm gonna mess
online,
around. I'm gonna mess around, see the trailer, and be like, absolutely.
No,
Take
I
my
wanna buy
money.
it.
Take
I
my
saw the
money.
trailer. $10. You can have it.
all right, let's make a pact. We're gonna watch Fight Circus. We gotta
Tell
do
it.
it.
This was $9. For the money, the Fight Circus sounds like a better deal than this. To be honest, for real.
It's in 2
Just saying.
days.
It's
2 days.
all right. I know what I'm doing this weekend aside from Hogwarts. All right. So moving on from Fight Circus, that was hilarious. Let's move into NFL briefly. Then I want to cover NCAA, and if we have some time, I actually heard some clickbait that I every once in a while we like to bring some clickbait in and shoot it down. So, guys, we talked about the quarterback carousel. We talked about franchise tags. Everybody's thought was that Lamar Jackson, Baltimore could not stand to live without him. He has officially announced that he is looking for a way out. Where's he going to go? Where should he go? He's being looked at. There's lots of talks. I'm sure everybody's heard different sides of the story. Who wants to pick up the Lamar Jackson?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
This is going to be a longer. This is a longer conversation. Like, I feel like we're going to have a couple rounds on this conversation. It won't just be like quick take. Here's he will not go anywhere else. It's really that simple. I'm just keeping it real. He's not going anywhere else. He's on a restricted franchise tag. What that means is that any other team is allowed to try to negotiate a contract with him. And if the Ravens want, they can match it, and then they get to keep him. If they don't, then the other team has to give up 2 first-round picks. So what's going to happen is nobody's going to bother, and here's why. When you have a restricted franchise tag, all you're doing is doing the contract negotiation for that team. For instance, for Baltimore, right? Because Baltimore and Lamar cannot get it worked out together. And I'm sure we're going to dive into that as we talk more about it. But because of that, he's free to do what he wants. But nobody, like, for instance, nobody's going to be like, all right, I'm the Arizona Cardinals and I don't have faith in Kyler Murray. So let me negotiate with Lamar and say, all right, you know what, Lamar, $47 million a year, $200 million guaranteed. And Lamar's like, bet. Baltimore gets that back and they're going to be like, we take it. And then Lamar has to sign with them. So that's why these other teams are like, fuck it. Pardon my language. Why would I negotiate for Baltimore, right? Because realistically, the only way Baltimore won't match is if it's some super mega contract. But no team is going to put themselves in that position. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Cripple your own team, like, dramatically to get that player. And I'm not saying Lamar's not that dude, but like, you cannot risk blindly making a bigger contract than necessary, right? That's how these work. You always try to do the most necessary, the exception being the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson. And we'll probably get into this conversation a little bit as well. But that broke the market. That was not normal, and it is not normal. Lamar thinks it's normal, and I think that's where this impasse is right now. Lamar wants, like, money. It's not about the total years and the total dollars. It's the fully guaranteed. And then the other hard part for Lamar, and then I'll stop and let everyone else get going, is that he doesn't have an agent. So all these teams are leaking BS. Well, not necessarily BS, but there's a lot more information being spread against Lamar than for Lamar because he doesn't have a PR team. He doesn't have an agent. He's representing himself. So what you're seeing is, I'm not saying slander, but what you're seeing is NFL teams, particularly Baltimore, letting loose things that may or may not be accurate. We don't know, and that's the problem. So I think Lamar is in a really awful position. I don't blame him for wanting his respect and what he feels he's worth, but I just don't see a good spot for him right now. I think he's stuck in Baltimore, and I don't think he's going to get the money he thinks he's worth.
I agree with you on most points. He did get a guarantee. They gave him, I think, a 3-year, 133.
130, but that wasn't enough.
130. I mean, I think but he won't even negotiate because it's only a 3-year on that. I think if they do a 3-year if he can negotiate 3-year 150, I think that's a good starting spot. But he's not even doing that. He wants the 5-year deal like Deshaun Watson. But the Browns are a bad organization, and that's a bad deal. Period. Especially for someone who's missed 10 games in the past 2 seasons. Like, and no matter how you feel about how he went about, if he could have played, if he couldn't have played, the fact is that he misses games, and that's too rich for them to miss games. The other part about that is no one's giving up 2 first-rounders for Lamar. That's just too rich. The price on that ticket is just way too steep. And what he's having a hard time realizing is a lot of people want him, but just like Bill Belichick said, it's just too expensive. He's too rich. So what he needs to do is get a team around him. He needs an agent. I don't care if you don't trust you only trust your family. You need someone who knows the business. You need someone who can negotiate on your behalf because the agent can't make deals without you, so you don't have to worry about them screwing you. You just got to pay them the 3%, the 1%, whatever that is.
3% is the max, like you said.
3%, yeah. He needs someone who can control PR and manipulate his narrative. He needs a business manager because the crap that he came out with that website.
Yo, thank you.
Whoa, my God.
That workout gym? Oh, man.
Listen, the workout gym, the 1980s infomercial with the workout gym, it looked like some lady was going to come out there with some aerobic socks on. I mean, it's really just, it just looks unprofessional.
Hey, I almost
and
bought
he's
that.
a business. And he's a business. It's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. Great idea. The layout is just bad. We're in 2023. You could have made that back in 1999.
Yeah.
So I just think that I get his point, and I see both sides. He wants guaranteed contracts. I don't think for football guaranteed contracts are the best idea for organization-wise. It's just bad. It's not like they don't get money, but to be compensated as much as they want to be compensated for when you could possibly not be able to play is just a bad business move because that money still gets cooked on the books. Basketball is a little different. I kind of understand it more, but even in basketball, I would think that they should probably think about doing non-guaranteed contracts as well. That way it will force players to play more. That's just me.
With all fairness, before we pass to Sahi here, Trey, if he would have made that infomercial in 1999, he would have been 3 years old. So, Sahi.
That would have been even funnier to watch. You're all trying to use that workout stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the infomercial y'all talking about.
Bro, you're going to love it when you see it, I promise.
That's hilarious. Lamar Jackson, man, it's such a tricky situation. It's like, yeah, Lamar, you deserve to be number one paid quarterback, I guess. But you also got to think about the team too. Obviously, what Deshaun Watson got is a laughable deal. And the Cleveland Browns, why did the Cleveland Browns do that?
That's why they're
we
the
have
Browns.
no idea.
That's all we can say.
Why do they do it?
Like, we have no idea. Like, what's going on? What's going on with the Cleveland Browns? People need to investigate them. But Lamar Jackson needs. I don't know. I want to say he needs an agent, but at the same time, I feel like he's doing it for player empowerment, I guess. I don't know. We don't need agents. Watch me get what I'm going to get. But nobody's like paying them the money because the NFL doesn't have to. You know, if Lamar Jackson gets hurt and never plays again, the league is going to move on. It's not like the league is going to stop if Lamar Jackson isn't playing. What was that?
I got a question for you, Sahi, and then Trey as well. I don't know if you guys heard this. Prime was saying that he believes Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are going to get over $200 million guaranteed, and then he wants to hear if people think that's not, or that if that they deserve that, if Lamar doesn't deserve the $200 million. So he was kind of alluding to racial stuff as well. I'm just throwing that out there because he just mentioned this today. Do you guys think that has any base or any value?
If Justin Herbert did, then yeah. But Joe Burrow did lead his team to a Super Bowl while getting sacked a league record number of times. And Joe Burrow had his knee destroyed and came back and led him to the Super Bowl. So Joe Burrow, I would understand that more. That's like Patrick Mahomes getting $500 million. You know what I'm saying? Even if that wasn't the real actual numbers, like you could see that, like you could believe it. Like Patrick Mahomes, hell yeah, $500,000. They should probably pay him more because he's that great.
That was more of
Lamar
a
Jackson.
team-friendly deal, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It really
saying.
is. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a very team-friendly deal, which compounds
It just
upon
looked big
itself.
at the time.
It just
yeah. It
looked
just
big
look.
because
That's
he's
what I'm just saying. It looked huge.
But-
But Justin Herbert, he ain't done enough. If he get it, then it's like, okay, well, what's going on for real?
It only looks bad, but not just necessarily racial, but the way that he plays just is way more physical than the way that they play. If he was to loosen his grip on this fully guaranteed, he could probably get a $200 million contract with this incentive laden roster bonuses and all of that. But since he refuses to give up on that fully guaranteed, then that's why his contract looks like that. Mind you, I still think that they're probably going to work out something where he gets like 3 years, $150 million, and in about a year that contract's going to look nice. Right now, it might not look like that, but in about a year, it'll be very cap friendly because the cap does nothing but go up. Joe Burrow is going to get his money because he's taken his team. He's actually won. He's the only one out of those three that have won. Lamar Jackson, for the MVP that he's won, he's only won one playoff game. That's not going to cut it. And we're talking about the Ravens. Ravens have a special way that they do things. Ravens are not going to pay you. Like historically, they'll let you go. They'll make a hard line in the sand. They'll say, we'll go up to here. And if you get to that point, you still want more, they'll let you go. Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, they did the same thing with Ray Lewis. I mean, they're just not going to pay you a crazy amount of money and take the losses. So that's just what it is. Lamar needs to be reasonable. He's not being reasonable right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. So just my brief perspective on this is the only thing I don't like that Prime said was like kind of trying to make it like racial. I don't think that's really fair. One, I don't think any quarterback's getting $200 million guaranteed anymore. I think Deshaun was like a one and done. Like, I just think that was just like, I think Jimmy Haslam, who is a lifelong Steeler fan, is so big of a Steeler fan that he bought the Cleveland Browns just to make sure they suck even worse than they already did. That's my Sahi conspiracy theory right there. But here's my take. Lamar is no different than Josh Allen. Josh Allen does very similar things, quite frankly. He takes big hit. He tries to run into people. He does get hit. And anyways, the point being is Josh Allen took a very team-friendly deal in 2021 with only $100 million guaranteed. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is what Trey said. Like, I think Lamar, if he had an agent, he would already be getting about like $40 million more total on his deal. Because again, they understand the business acumen more than Lamar does. And I'm not trying to, like, Lamar's a human being. He doesn't do this professionally. That's not what he does. He plays football professionally. And so I don't think he's really like grasping that part of it. I just think Lamar's like, I have an MVP. Nobody can do what I do. I'm very unique. My team really needs me, so I deserve that. But he's not looking at it from the perspective of like the outlier of what Deshaun Watson is, right? Like, in my opinion, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, when you look at Josh Allen, you're looking at team-friendly deals. You're looking at dudes that did not take anywhere near $200 million. Josh Allen's contract, which is what Lamar should have like based it on, in my opinion, because it's very similar. Josh Allen has a $150 million guaranteed if he gets injured. So if he could never play again, they're going to give him $50 million extra. Now, if he never gets hurt, he gets $100 million for playing in general. But if he gets injured to where he can no longer ever play again, he gets an additional $50 million. And to me, that's what I'm saying. If Lamar had an agent and his concerns are that, and the team's concerns are that, they could have worked in that capacity, right? Like, let me get this guaranteed 120 or 130. But if I get injured, maybe I should get like 160 or 170, because you don't do the same as Josh. It's 2 years later, you get a little extra on the top. But the point being is, I think that would have been a better compromise. But I think he's just not compromising because he doesn't have an agent. He just doesn't really see the other transaction.
Even if he doesn't want to get an agent, I think he needs a lawyer. He absolutely needs, even if you don't have an agent, he needs a lawyer, someone who can understand the jargon and the paperwork and the framework. And you could get lawyers that can handle multiple situations. So he can get a lawyer that understands contract negotiation and can handle his outside interest and things like that. Like if he's trying not to pay everybody, but when you get on this train where you're gonna just let everybody in your family hype you up, being like, well, you did this, and this, and this person did this, and this, and they're getting paid this, so you need to be at least worth that. That's where you get into trouble, because now you're pocket watching and you're trying to negotiate based off of your pocket watching instead of negotiating based off of the contracts or what people can do. You know what I mean? So even if he doesn't want to get an agent per se, he definitely needs a contract, a tort lawyer, so he can negotiate these contracts and get wording in there that benefits him. Like you said, even with that Josh Allen situation, I didn't know that, but that'd be on par with the perfect contract for him. That way, if something happens like what happened with RG3, he could still get paid.
Right. That's how I feel. Like, that's why because I read this 2 days ago. And again, I think we've all talked about it. We wanted this man to get paid. That's what we talked about last year. Like, this man deserves his money. We even encouraged him to sit. And I'm not saying that's why he sat. I think some people are trying to play it that way, but his PCL was injured. His PCL was injured, guys. It was injured. The point being, though, is we all have been rooting for this guy. But, like, man, I just hate seeing what's happening. I hate seeing him basically not, and it's not about overestimating his worth, but, like, not understanding like contracts at the end of the day. That's how I feel about this. And when I saw Josh Allen's, I was like, this is that perfect example that I think in the future you're going to start seeing for a lot of quarterbacks. Instead of that guaranteed like Deshaun 220, it'll just be like you're going to get a fair amount, a very good amount, and then if you get injured, we'll toss in some extra. Like you said, to RG3s, to the Josh Allens of the world, the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jacksons, hell, the Joe Burrows. Like Sahi mentioned, dude tore his ACL when he first came into the league. Like these guys play a very risky position, which is why they get paid so much. So I think this is I'm hoping that's more of the future, because these guaranteed $200 million contracts are going to cripple any football franchise.
So looking at this is thanks to CBS Sports. Don't think us too much because I'm about to rip you one. I will say, in this same thread, they ran a mock draft and said C.J. Stroud's going to be 4th overall pick to Indiana.
Oh, he's going first.
Yeah, I imagine so.
He's going to Carolina.
They have a list of 11. We're not going to get all the way down the list of teams that could benefit from trying to make the move. So Richie explained well that this means they have to offer more than Baltimore is willing to match. And that's a lot, because that also means 2 first-round picks. Indianapolis Colts are their number one, need him the most. They also said that Indianapolis needs CJ at overall pick 4. Indiana, what do you guys think? Good fit? Bad fit? Can they afford it?
Well, they've already said, Jim Irsay said it's too rich for his blood. But to answer your question, I don't think it's a great fit. I think there are much better fits. We've actually kind of talked about this before on the show. It wasn't me, but somebody said this, I believe, on the show. Miami Dolphins with Lamar Jackson would be crazy. That's how I'm going to stand by that. That would be insane to me if they picked up Lamar.
I think Sahi said the Texans, actually. And after all the pickups that they just made, that's not too far off. I would say the Panthers, maybe. But the Panthers got way too much going on for them to be giving up. They got 2 receivers, a tight end. They got a running back from the Eagles. And they have the number 1 pick. So I'll kind of just let that lie. Atlanta would be nice, but I don't want them giving up 2 first-rounders.
Hey, Atlanta's already making moves. I'd just write out Ritter's contract and figure it out.
Me too. Just figure it out. There's new quarterbacks every year. I'm fine with just waiting it out.
I just feel like all the teams passed on Lamar in the draft for a reason. The Baltimore was the only team to really seem like they wanted him. And just to see this happen, and it's just weird, man.
But
just
it's on
weird.
Lamar though. It's on Lamar. I'll give it to
Oh,
him that maybe they should have gotten his deal done earlier. But this holdout what he's doing now, which is just bad, is Lamar's fault.
I agree, and here's why. Lamar refused to try to negotiate because he wanted to focus on the football season during the season. So the only time they've even had to ever work with him was during the offseason. Whereas other quarterbacks, you have year-round conversation. The agent and the front office have year-round conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to Sahi's point, this was the team that wanted him. This was the team that developed their entire offense around his skill set. Which, you know, we talk about with Justin Fields. You know, and I was saying it would never happen, and Chicago was starting to, and you're seeing at least Justin start to flourish. Like they have drafted wide receiver. They haven't panned out, but they have tried. They have drafted first rounders many times over. They just all sucked. Like, let's be honest. But the point being is Lamar. They have really tried their best to give Lamar the pieces he needs, and it just hasn't offensively. It hasn't been that great. But the point being is Lamar. There is no better fit for him, and I just hope they can figure it out. I hope this is a Deebo Samuel situation. Deebo said he did not want to play in San Francisco. San Francisco said, you ain't going anywhere. They signed him, made him play because of the franchise, and he was fine, you know, to stop talking, and he played the game, and he seems happy again. And I hope something will happen like that with Baltimore. I hope this tender happens. They don't get, you know, he stops the negotiations, accepts the fact Baltimore's got him for at least this year, and they can just sit down at the table and be like, dude, we want you here. Like, we really want you here. You know, you weren't getting much bites, and we're not trying to, like, threaten you, but we need you to be realistic here. This is his best fit, is Baltimore. I want this guy to be playing 15 more years, possibly, right? We want that for him, but, like, he's got to see it.
They got him for another 2 years. What is it? He can't sit out for 2 years. He just can't.
Yeah, we don't want another Steelers situation.
Yeah, but after you sit out for 2 years, teams just they ice you. They just don't think that you could do it anymore because that's a lot of years to come back from. Deshaun Watson's having a hard time coming back. He played like crap this past year, and he's set for 2.5 years. I mean, I think he needs to play this better. I think he needs to get in there and negotiate. If I was Baltimore, my cap would be 3 years, 150. If I was Lamar, I'd take the 3 years, 150, maybe a player option on that third year, and put in my contract that they can't franchise me after the 3 years, so they have to get a long-term deal done. That put him at 29, getting another deal. That's cool.
Yeah, it's been weird all around. I feel like the way Lamar is approaching it, it makes me feel like he thinks this is like his one contract. And that's why I find this very strange, you know, because I feel like he's a young kid. It's like, dude, you got 2 contracts in you. Just make this one work. You know, like you said, do 3 years, make it work, and prove once again. And I'm sure he's tired of proving it, but prove once again why you're a top 5 quarterback. And then you'll get your money, man. Sucks. Le'Veon Bell, by the way, was what I was alluding to. He sat out.
Oh, yeah, he sat out that 1 year, yeah. But he didn't have 2 years left on his contract. That was like,
that's why I just don't want Lamar doing that, because like Le'Veon Bell is an example for anyone who at the top of his game thought he was worth more, thought he was being run into the ground. I'm not disagreeing with the man. The man did what he thought was best for him. But you, like Trey pointed out with Deshaun, that's what happens when you don't play. It don't matter. You could be the greatest player. You could be Jerry Rice himself. But if you don't play for an entire year or 2 years, you ain't going to come back the same player. It's just not going to happen.
Especially in football. And even in basketball, freaking Klay Thompson, it's taking him almost a whole season to get back in, playoff Klay shape. And
of all positions, quarterback, that's the hardest position to play. Like, you cannot miss that time.
Yeah.
I'm going to run through the other names, the other teams on this CBS list. Sahi, I want you to kick it off with, because I'm going to save the best for last, the CBS things. At 11th, most likely to go after Lamar, they have the New York Jets. 10th, they've got Carolina. We talked about them. 9th, they have Houston. We've talked about them. 8th, they have the Minnesota Vikings. 7, they say Detroit, would be a good option. 6, they have Atlanta, Trey. 5, I've heard many talks about Washington being an option. And then I'm going to skip and go to 3rd, Tennessee Titans. 2nd, New England Patriots. And CBS at least. And Brian, who's trying to get a comment, something's going on with StreamYard. Brian even suggested this as well. Tampa Bay going after Lamar Jackson. What do you think? Could you make that work, Sahi?
Fantasy wise, yeah, I would love Lamar Jackson on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But getting Lamar Jackson is going to put the Buccaneers into rebuild mode faster. And they're not trying to do that. They got veteran guys like Mike Evans, Levante David, Vita Vea that's trying to win now. And they're going to need those picks. They need. We were already like the worst or second worst salary cap team. So money is an issue for us. Money is an issue. Money is an issue for Lamar Jackson. So it's just not compatible there at all. And plus, Tampa Bay just signed the Bake Man, Baker
That's
Mayfield, former number 1 overall pick. Done bounced around the league quite a bit. And he's ready to do some things. So the Buccaneers are covered there. But as far as the rest of the list, like I can see it. I can see him playing for another team, but I just don't see him playing for another team. It's got to be the Ravens or nothing. Because no matter what team he goes to, they're going to have to change their whole offense, right? Because there's not a player like Lamar in the league. Therefore, there's like the Ravens have one of the most dynamic offenses. Like the last couple years, that you'll hear games where Lamar Jackson has scored 5 touchdowns in like the first half. You're like, oh my God, this dude is unstoppable. He can run it, he can throw it. And they have the Ravens have the perfect offense for that. That's the only team I see him with on it. No other team is going for him now. It's Baltimore Ravens or nothing for me with Lamar.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I just don't, like you said, there is not a team in this league that they have interesting tools. Like, for instance, I think Miami is interesting because how fast their players are that could complement him. But again, their offense isn't built that way, right? It's built around like a guy, Tua, who has a noodle arm, right? And can't run. And when he falls, he gets a concussion. So it's drastically different offense schemes. You know, I think there's only one person, I think Trey would probably agree with me, that could make him work, but he's not even an option, is if he was at San Francisco. I think Kyle Shanahan would figure it out. He could figure it out. But outside of that, I just don't see it happen. Like, it wouldn't happen. And San Francisco's not even an option. They have 3 quarterbacks that cost nothing. They have no intention of putting a $50 million albatross around their neck. Not to say Lamar is not talented. That's too much money when they just signed Bosa. Like, they don't have the money. Oh, and wouldn't spend it.
But that's what makes San Francisco work. They don't have to pay a quarterback to win.
Yeah.
They pay everybody else and make Kyle Shanahan figure it out.
Like, their offense is ridiculous and all. It's crazy, man.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comments and hit us up on h2gradio.com. What do you think? Lamar, does he need to just chill out, stay, get himself a lawyer or an agent? I know of a team that wasn't mentioned in this all this conversation. Doesn't matter what you do to the offense. You can only make it better at this point. And Lamar is familiar with their style of football. It's right in the same smash mouth that he's used to. It's a winning team. If you look at their entire existence, I could see Lamar rocking a black and gold jersey. I'm sorry, but I think Pittsburgh get in the race here.
They're gonna have another 9-8 season.
Let me tell you right now. Let me tell you right now.
The league. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, you started.
Okay. I am disgusted by you even saying that. Like,
Thank you.
genuinely, Lamar Jackson does not deserve to look like a bumblebee. All right, that man deserves much better colors than that trash-ass, disgusting jersey. That man would get wide receivers, but I'm telling you, Tomlin, I'm not a hater. He's pretty damn good. But he's more of a player's coach than like a coach's coach, like, for instance, Bill Belichick. They're both great coaches, different styles. Lamar needs a dude that's going to kind of rein him in a little, because John Harbaugh is also a player's coach. If he's going to go somewhere outside of John Harbaugh, I think he needs the opposite. I think the number 2 you mentioned, I would like to see him with Bill Belichick. I don't think it's a good fit. I mean, you saw how ridiculously bad their offense was last year, but I'm just saying, you know, like, if you're going to do something different, go different. Like, I just don't, like, Pittsburgh would be more of the same, but, like, again, their offensive ineptitude, you know, like, I don't know how to describe it. They've always had incredible
Patricia
talent.
running the offense, just bad.
Well, we're right, and he's gone. I get that for New England. But what I'm saying is, we can't know if they're actually going to be good now just because Matt Patricia left. Like, they're better because Matt Patricia got fired. Like, objectively, we all agree with that, and I'm sure everybody agrees with that, right? I know our Patriots fans agree with that, but nonetheless, it's just one of those things where, you know, Pittsburgh just doesn't get it done in that sense. They draft wide receivers well. They've drafted, what, 1 quarterback, 2 quarterbacks ever? Well, you know, maybe that's why you say pick up a free agent or do a trade. But I'm just saying, I just don't see that. Like, you know, Pittsburgh is a run the football with a running back, not the quarterback. And I just don't see how they could make that work financially. 2, giving up the picks when their team needs a lot of work, not just the quarterback. That team's defense. let me clarify.
Pittsburgh does not care about picks. If we haven't learned anything from consecutive back-to-back regular seasons.
No, you are not the Los Angeles Rams. They are the people who say fuck them picks, first of all. But as far as the Steelers go, like, their defense is built around TJ Watt. When TJ wasn't there, they looked garbage. And I'm sorry, you know, TJ makes them a top 5 team, but the point is like, if TJ's out, it doesn't mean they should be like the 31st team defense. You know what I mean? They got a lot of problems, and Lamar Jackson does not solve their problems. All he does is make their talented wide receiver core have a chance to be successful, but it doesn't solve how bad they're still going to be. What Trey said is best: 9-8, no matter what. You pick up Lamar, it don't change anything. That team ain't winning 11 games. It's just not happening. They need to draft defense, lots and lots of defense. Let's see if Pickett can do it. You know, don't give up on the guy. You need defense right now. That's what you need.
Oh boy.
And while I was talking about Tua, I'll say one thing. Tua, I would say, is more accurate than Lamar, even though he has a noodle arm. I mean, he's the only person. Yeah, he's accurate. He's the only person at Alabama to stretch the ball down the field and was really doing it, and he wasn't using it. The fact that he had athletes on the end, he was actually placing the ball where they needed to have it. So, for all it's said about Tua, he could actually place the ball. I'm not sure if Lamar can do that.
Maybe not. It's hard to know, but we don't know because we never gotten to see him do it.
Right.
He doesn't have to place it. He can run it down there.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, it's just they'll do like these play action. Usually, when he throws it deep, it's off a play action, so the wide receivers like blew the top off already. So
He's not reading defenses.
He ain't reading it. He's just like they're drawing the play for it. So.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of drawing the play, we'll move on to this isn't a good transition at all, but there have been a lot of drawn plays. I tried to stretch it out. Let's talk Final Four. I'm going to highlight
men or women.
Men or women.
Let's start with the women. Honestly, it's been so exciting to watch. I was very excited to see the Ohio State University knock off UConn, but then they got knocked out. So we're talking Final Four. Ohio State's not in the conversation. We've got, let me make sure I say all of this right here. We've got LSU versus Virginia Tech for all the Final Four conversation. If you have a one shot on it, please let it loose. I do at least want your pick 'em. So LSU, Virginia Tech, have at it, fellas.
I don't know. I mean, I like LSU. I think they got a lot of attitude, but that number 5 for Virginia Tech, hey, she lets it fly. She lets it. She's nice. And the number 22, I can't remember her name, but number 22, she plays 4 down there. She could get it going too. They had a couple of people hitting the 3, but that number 5, she's like 5 foot nothing and gets to wherever she needs to get to on the floor and lets it fly. She could play, but LSU's gonna be tough because LSU got them dogs, and they coming for you, and they not scared or nothing. They got a little swag with them. I think their freshman guard is also signed to Rock Nation. Yeah, but I mean, the women's tournament has been, to me, more exciting than the men's tournament. But I'm gonna take LSU in that game.
Okay, I am actually going the other way. I'm going Virginia Tech, and you already named the reasoning why. Like, to me, Virginia Tech has been like they're a number 1 seed for a reason. And again, LSU's 3, but 3rd. But they technically only lost 1 more time than Virginia Tech. They're very talented teams, both of them. To Trey's point, LSU is kind of like the Hollywood team. They got like superstars. They got that attitude. They got the personalities. They're kind of like, like what Prime does in the NCAA football. Like, this team is just super. Like, I kind of reminds me of the Duke Blue Devils on the men's side in the early 2000s. It's just like, you just know these people. They're just so personable. They really stand out. But Virginia Tech, to me, is just a well-oiled machine. They've just handled their business every single round. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I just, what I'll give the women, when we talk about men versus women in this March Madness, is the women have come out to play. They're not, the top seeds, guess what? They made it. Men, we'll talk about that later. That's why for me, on the flip side to Trey, I actually enjoyed the men's because it was like upset city across the board. But the teams that deserve to be there and are significantly the best teams in the nation are there. I think Virginia Tech has just been solid all year round, and I'm going Virginia Tech, man. They've been playing so great. I just don't see them slacking off.
Sahi, the weight falls on your shoulder. Who you got?
Oh man. I think that I will just be pleasantly surprised with whoever gets the win in this game.
Oh, come on. You don't get to phone it in on the Wire Sports Podcast. You've been with us how many years? Hold on. Phone it in on a Wednesday.
Wow.
He's not any enemies.
Full disclosure, I didn't even know when the tournament started. I didn't even know it started. I am like, when it comes to college basketball, I am all the way on the other side of the whole thing. Like, I could, you know what I'm saying, care less. I used to love NCAA, the tournament. My bracket got busted way too many times, and it like just kind of hurt me so much. I used to be the biggest Tom Izzo Michigan State fan, and they would, I think I explained this before on this very show. They crushed me so many times. It's just like, you know what? I don't even tune into the game. I don't want my heart to, like, you know what I'm saying, get up and then be let down one more time by these damn college basketball players. But no, just based off the seeding, I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech, just for what I believe in women's basketball.
Speaking to your loyalty to the men of Michigan State, I'm just saying they didn't make it that far. If my lights are telling you anything right here, they didn't make it that far. Neither did my lights here. We'll talk about that. They did it all the way to the Elite Eight. It is upset city. We'll talk about that in a second. And Marquise Noel, we got to talk about him at some point. Okay, on the other side, number 1 South Carolina taking on number 2 Iowa. Who's it gonna be?
First of all, we just gotta acknowledge Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Curry, dropping with a 40-point triple-double. Hey, whose man is that? Whose man is that? Hey, hand down, man down, because she letting it fly from as soon as she get across half court. Her range is crazy. When you got Steph Curry hitting you up on Twitter talking about something, what you doing is crazy, then you know you getting it done. But I'm going to go ahead with Don Staley. Don Staley got a well-oiled machine down there in South Carolina. I do like what Caitlin Clark is doing. She's bringing excitement to her sport, to her game. It's fun to watch. She's been fun to watch. So, shouts out to her. But Dawn Staley's, that South Carolina team, there's some burly. I mean, there's some big girls. And they yeah. And they come in.
All right, Don.
Hey, I'm not saying nothing crazy. Hey, I'm not saying nothing crazy. But when them balls get to flying, bro, I'm not trying to take none either. I'm sorry. That's all I'm saying. They play real aggressive. They play real strong. You can tell they've been in the weight room. They play real. Her guards are always going to play real smart, and they always going to make the right play. I mean, the South Carolina women's basketball team is basically the Gino Orium, a UConn girls team of the past.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's where it is right now. And Dawn Staley is. If Dawn Staley's not in the Basketball Hall of Fame, she definitely deserves to be and needs to be for her contributions to women's basketball and basketball in general. She was on the USA team as a coach for a reason.
Yeah, I got to reiterate, I hate that Trey went first because he stole everything I wanted to talk about because Caitlin is like playing like the LeBron James for Iowa. She's literally like leading all the stats for them, averaging almost like 30 points a game. This girl is a phenom. But South Carolina is kind of the opposite, right? South Carolina is just a well-oiled machine, which Trey literally said, which is why I'm annoyed with you right now, Trey. Why you got to say everything that's accurate. But Zia Cook is their guard. I love Zia Cook, and Zia Cook is that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, yeah, Zia and Aaliyah Boston.
Off into the other room to make sure he's not being monitored.
I'm looking up there. Like, okay, nobody heard. Okay, we good. Anyway, yeah, Zia Cook and Cook, and Aaliyah Boston is also dope, and they're really, really like I agree, Trey. Like they're just well-oiled machine. They rebound, they box out, man. They get in the paint. Like this is basically like it reminds me the only way they win is if Caitlin has like that LeBron James versus the Warriors in 2016 kind of moment where she just takes over the game. I just don't see that happening though. Like South Carolina has been efficient on all cylinders, haven't lost a game. You already know where I'm going with in terms of who I think is going to win the whole damn thing, but South Carolina is going to beat Iowa for sure. This is like 95-5. And Caitlin would have to drop like 48 for them to have a chance in Iowa.
She might.
She might.
I fully believe she can do whatever she wants to do on the court.
She's crazy.
No opt-out, Sahi. You got to pick one.
Yeah.
South Carolina and Iowa. Who you got?
These games are on Friday. I will make a real effort to watch these games. Check them out. I wanted to say South Carolina just based off seeding from the last one, but I've kind of seen, South Carolina and the scrolls on YouTube. They get their little, ESPN videos. I just kind of scroll past them, but like I see South Carolina a lot. Didn't they win the national championship a year ago or a year or two ago? They were like just in it. They just won it. But I think the party for South Carolina ends right here. That girl that you guys been talking about, Caitlin Kukoc.
Caitlin Clark.
Clark.
Oh, Clark. I don't know where I got Coochieman from, but
I don't know either.
You better check the other room.
Hey, you better put some respect on her name.
Hey, no, I am. Mad respect. It's like Caitlin Clark. She's gonna have a monster game. And it's going to be enough to lead them past South Carolina in an upset. So Iowa and Virginia Tech for the women's national championship.
Man, the NCAA forcing us to DVR because we're all unfortunately going to be watching Fight Circus on Friday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Friday. Yeah. There's so much good sports.
I gotta call off work Friday. I got too much going on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, boss. If you're watching, that's not true. Probably. We'll see how sick I am. Okay. Speaking of upsets and speaking of larger than life, the NCAA men's, it has been a season of upsets or a postseason of upsets, we should say. I am not. Listen, of course, the Ohio State first. We all know within the past couple of years, grown to be a K-State fan as well. I can't go forward without talking about Marquise Noel and his performance because he almost carried K-State on with 2 foul outs of their other 2 superstars. What a fantastic. Trey and I were talking about it off the air. I mean, guy's incredible, way outmatched size-wise, and that doesn't matter. Taking damn near half-court 3-point shots. Anyway, they lost to Florida Atlantic, who's going to go up against San Diego State. So these are the decisions we got to make here. Just know Florida Atlantic has Ivan Drago. So, oh no, I'm sorry. His name is something else. The dude is like, he's doing layups by just sticking it in the basket. I don't know how tall he is. It's ridiculous. Who we got, Florida Atlantic or San Diego State?
San Diego State. I'm only picking San Diego State is because, I mean, it's the battle of Cinderellas. I'm taking San Diego State because I had them going a little bit further in my bracket. I did have them leaving, I think, in the Sweet 16. They're a really good, well-coached team. So I'm just going to go with the team that I think is just more apt to be here, which would be San Diego State. I don't know where FAU came from.
I don't know where they came from, but that's why I'm picking them, actually. I think they're going to do another upset here. I think they're going to play extremely well because, honestly, San Diego State squeaked by Creighton. So I don't know, man. Florida Atlantic was looking real good. And I know, and I'll say it one more time. I understand and I know that Kansas State had a lot of foul trouble, which is why they were able to overcome that. But at the end of the day, that's part of basketball, right, guys? So that's not Florida Atlantic's fault that they put themselves in that position, and that's how that works, and that's what makes basketball so interesting, quite frankly. The fouls itself and managing your fouls properly. So anyways, I'm going with Florida Atlantic. They're able to light it up too. You know, didn't they score like 70 points, something like that? I think they scored 70 points on Kansas. So you know they can definitely put the ball up in there. So I'm gonna go with Florida Atlantic for the upset. Or is it an upset at this point because everything's been an upset?
I don't know if it's an upset, but I don't talk about Creighton like Creighton's in the tourney every year.
Hey, Creighton's good. I ain't trying to disrespect Creighton's name, not at all. I'm just saying
they're there every year.
Is what I said. Every year they're in there, and every year they're like 6 seed. Like honestly, they're always like pretty damn solid for sure. Mm-hmm. But that's what I mean. Creighton's like that not average, but you know what I mean. They're like the middle of the pack for the NCAA tournament is what I'm getting at. They're always right in that center of the tournament. So if you're squeaking by the center, like, you know, I don't have that much faith.
Yeah, the announcers in the last game saying Florida Atlantic playing to defend Paradise. Sahi, do you think they can defend Paradise against San Diego? Also, Richie, we're talking about foul trouble. I completely blame Keontae Johnson, but you know he's welcome to come on the show and talk to us. You shouldn't go into halftime with 4 penalties, but we'll talk later.
Why did the coach have him in?
They can't take him out. It's too good. Saeed?
These teams right here. 2 teams I can't say I have my eye on at all at any point this year, but seeing how this is the Final Four, I feel like both teams are winners.
No. No. This is not a private school. This is not camp basketball. AA Final Four. Somebody's got to win, Saeed.
All they have to do is leave it all out there on the floor on the April 1st at 6:00 p.m. I'm guessing that's Eastern Standard Time. And they just got to leave it out on the floor, and they're both going to be winners. What the scoreboard might say, I feel like it might, after hearing what Richie said and Trey said, I don't know. I might give it to Florida Atlantic. Yeah, I'm gonna give them the edge. Has a 9 seed ever played for the national championship?
I don't know.
I know the seeding in the Final Four, the 9-5, the 5-4, the seeding. If you add those up, the seedings for the Final Four has never been this high,
Wow.
and it equals 23. And
Oh boy, here we go.
2023.
Michael Jordan.
So, yeah, this is the Jordan year. I mean, you know.
All right, I'll take it. I appreciate it. I did get corrected by our K-State aficionado in the green room here. Kancey Johnson went into halftime with 2, came out in the second half and had 3 more fouls to foul out of the game. Okay, so Miami and UConn. UConn, not a stranger to the Final Four. Miami every now and then. A little more regular conversation. 4 and 5 seed. What do you guys think?
I'm going to start this one because Trey always says all the good stuff, and I'm tired of it. All right. I'm going to take all the talking points. I loved Miami throughout this tournament, actually. Miami has looked very good. The problem is UConn has dominated everybody they played, like massacred everybody they played. And I just don't see that changing. Sonogo is a beast. And I really feel like if UConn loses, hyperbole, I'd be like completely shocked. I feel like this is the biggest like gap between every game we've talked about, women's or men's side, just because of how talented UConn has played and showed up. They've dominated. I feel like, I don't remember each round, but I feel like they've won by like 12 to 20 points like every single round. Like it hasn't been close. That it's been just insanely one-sided, and Miami has played fantastic. I think they beat Indiana by like 8 points, right? Which again is still a pretty big margin. But when you look at UConn's margins, I don't know, man. UConn has just been on a mission, and they look unstoppable. UConn is definitely who I think is the favorite in the Final Four, and I just don't see Miami overcoming this.
To your point, before I drop it over to the guys, they lost the Big East tournament to Marquette 70-68. Then they came out in the first round 87-63 over Iona, 70-55 in the second round over St. Mary's, 88-65 over Arkansas. And then they had Gonzaga last week, 82-54 in the Elite Eight. The biggest margins in men's basketball this year for NCAA.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, they're being coached by Hurley. So, I don't know if you know about the Hurley boys, but their dad is the famous coach that I think he coached Kyrie, if I'm not crazy, at St. Patrick's. He's a famous nationally ranked high school coach. His son Bobby played for Duke under Coach K, and then the other brother is also a coach. I mean, the other brother's a coach for UConn. I think Bobby's at Arizona State, something like that. Family of basketball. They're being well coached. They have a monster down the block. They can hit open threes. I like Jim Larinaga. He was that coach that was with remember those George Mason teams that used to make it in every year? He was their coach. Scrappy guy. I just don't think that they have enough for UConn. And I think it's going to be a rout. So probably along the lines of, it's probably going to be along like 88 to like 60, 62, something like that.
I mean, after I saw what happened to Gonzaga, man, I was just like,
yeah. And Gonzaga has firepower. So
yeah, they do. Well, a lot of people picking them. They were the third seed. They're a great team. I mean, always a great team, obviously. Mm-hmm. But man, they got destroyed.
Sahi, no buttercups, no tulips, no right no greeting cards. We want who's gonna win, Miami or UConn?
I mean, like I said before, as long as they play their hearts out, they'll be able to keep their heads high no matter the outcome.
I'm coming home and I'm taking every blue ribbon off of your show.
No. I'll probably put my money on UConn, but I'm seriously hearing you guys just talk up UConn so much about how great they are and how much they've been beating everybody. Kind of makes me hate UConn. So UConn's probably full of themselves right now. They like, we done whooped everybody. Who we got? Oh, Miami. We ain't got to worry about them. They looking past Miami. They looking for the national championship. They just blew everybody else out. Who gonna stop them? And I feel like this is a trap game. They're gonna slip up. Shots ain't gonna be falling like normal, and Miami's gonna get them. So it's gonna be an all Florida national championship.
Ooh.
One team has the FL in front of their name. The other team has the FL behind their name. So it's going to be very interesting. It's an old gate game.
I like that a lot. I like that. The upset looking too far behind Miami. It has been, if there is a season for this kind of upset, it's this one. Although I must say, as a former student at Eastern Connecticut State, just down the road, quick 15-minute drive from UConn, that's a basketball village or town or whatever they call stores. They know something about playing in these post-game seasons. So, folks, let us know. We want to know what you think about everything we talked about, especially the Final Four, about Fight Circus. We're going to
definitely about Fight Circus.
I think we're all going to make a genuine effort to watch Fight Circus this weekend and have some information next week about whatever the hell we lose our $10 on. I mean, guys, any final thoughts before we close it out here?
Watch Fight Circus.
Fight Circus.
Watch it with those guys.
We are not being paid, but we'll take it.
No, we are not promoting it for an actual advertisement.
I just want to see this train wreck happen, to be honest with you.
Bruh. I'm telling you, watch the trailer after this, guys. Watch the trailer, and audience, watch that trailer. It will sell you.
Rampage.
I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's hilarious.
One sweater to win them all.
It's a big sweater, guys. It's a big sweater.
That might be the biggest sweater on record.
It's probably the biggest sweater.
I gotta imagine they're not staying in shape.
Yeah, that's why they win the sweater. Let's be honest.
I was kind of surprised to see Rampage in his current shape. Not talking shit by any means, Quentin. You would kill me. Okay.
I'm not the dude. The dude said it before. He just wants to chill and play video games. He ain't gonna keep in shape.
No, I'm with it. I'm getting back in shape now, but I get it. Okay, so this has been the Wire Sports Podcast. I think we're going to try Facebook next week. For some reason, YouTube's not letting our comments come through. So just keep an eye on h2gradio.com. That's how you can for sure find us. We're going to share it everywhere. We're going to post it everywhere. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Spotify, all the places that you find your podcast. You can find the Wire Sports Podcast. We've got Free Miss. That is a show that you absolutely have to see. I mean, Trey, Sahi, Ray, everybody, their long, deep bench of co-hosts. It's amazing. And the topics that you would never even know you wanted to listen to until you listen to it. I swear to God, it's entertaining. And I'm not just saying that because I produce the network. It's legitimately an amazing show. True Crime for the Innocent Mind is back. We have a innocent mind who is a working actor in Chicago. So we took a week off last week, but we are either kicking off Ted Bundy. We're ready for Ted Bundy, but we need to make sure we have Andrew. If not, Hell or High Water Saturday, we'll be hitting you with some true crime, possibly getting some of the guys from this show, possibly getting Ray back on the show on Saturday. So stay tuned. We'll be in post-fight circus mode, so who knows how we'll be feeling, but we're going to be talking about some true crime. You can catch the entire run of the H2G podcast, 8 seasons of greatness, covering everything from games, sports, news, serious topics that still are very relevant to this day. Great artists, including the one and only Sahi that does our theme song here at The Wire. You can catch all of the Boss Dog Show. Everything's at h2gradio.com. That's all you have to do. Go to the website. Let us know if you want to get involved. We've got spots. We're looking for new shows. We want a movie. I've been hearing, hey, you guys should do a movie podcast. We got movie buffs all over the place. I think you got guest stars for days. We need a host. Who wants to host it? Music. We need a host. Come on. Get out here to h2gradio.com and let us know in the comment section. We'll see you next week, either Monday or Wednesday. Stay on your toes. Live, laugh, love like it's your last. And hey, stay classy, fuckers.
Peace.
And if you can't fuck with them, fuck on them.
There you go. See you, boys. Have a